But I tell you what, we've run out of facts about Pink Floyd. I reckon the next bloke will know a little bit more about it, and not only that, can sing a bit about it as well. His name's Matt, but you're going to need to have some good luck to be able to pronounce his surname. Rob, help us.
You will indeed. Matt Goodluck from Echoes of Pink Floyd. Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
Thanks, guys. It's nice to be here.
Nice to be anywhere at our age. Hey, this is a bit of a big thing, isn't it? This Echoes of Pink Floyd.
It certainly has become that way. We've been doing it for quite a while now, and it's really getting to the point where the audiences are just starting to grow all over the country, which is wonderful to see.
Well, I was one of those audiences last year in Colac, and I didn't quite know what to expect. I haven't been to a lot of these, whether you call it tribute, copy bands, whatever the case may be, but I've got to tell you that being a Pink Floyd fan as I am, you were brilliant in your presentation of their fine work. It was amazing how close to the real thing you did, but more importantly, how much fun you look like you're having doing it. Is it just good fun, Matt?
Thank you, mate. It is a lot of fun, but it is a lot of hard work as well. You know, as you can imagine, we all put hundreds of hours into trying to perfect our roles in what we're trying to create, both on our own, you know, with our individual practice and what have you, and our preparation together, rehearsing as a band. But, you know, we wouldn't do that if we didn't love the music and we didn't love each other's company. So it is a huge pleasure to get up there and do this because, you know, there's not many times in life you get an opportunity to create something really special like this with a bunch of other top blokes.
So let's talk about you, Matt. What do you do other than Echoes of Pink Floyd as a day job and other roles in the industry?
Well, my day job is I'm a voiceover artist, and so I provide voices for commercials and training videos and all sorts of things, anything that needs a professional voice. That's my day job, and in recent years I've started dabbling in composing electronic music, which some people find a little bit unusual that I'm not singing, but it's a different creative outlet and something I'm really enjoying. So I put out an album earlier this year, and that seems to be getting a pretty good response.
So I'm always, one of the questions I always ask people who are musos particularly, take us back to where it all started, and not so much you, but the group. I would have thought that if you were going to create a group, it's a whole lot easier to, you know, pick a couple of Creedence Clearwater Revival songs and bang those out. If you're going to put on a 2-hour show of Pink Floyd stuff, the first day must have been a bit of fun. Let's sit down and have a crack at, you know, comfortably numb. Where do you start with something like that?
Well, I think with most of us, we all sort of earned our stripes in playing in various pub bands over the years, and so we've developed some experience as musos. And when this came to be, I mean, I was the last of this lineup to join, which was 10 years ago. And the other guys had been playing together for a few years before I joined. But look, you're right in what you say. It's not the easiest music to replicate, but I think having that dedication and that passion for the music, it gives you the drive to put the work in and you know, work hard at trying to replicate it. And that's something that we've always prided ourselves on. You know, we look at it as though, what would we want to see in a tribute band? And, you know, when you're a diehard fan, you're paying attention to all those close little details that you hear on the albums that, you know, sometimes if you go and see a band, you feel a little bit let down if they're not reproducing it all to a T. And that's certainly something that we try our very best to do. And, you know, as I said, it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and it's always a pleasure when you get that 1% of the audience that does pick up on those little minute details, and they go, "Oh, you played that part." So you think, yes, it was worth it.
Well, and this is just about as far away from Pink Floyd as you can possibly get. But Becky Cole and Melinda Schneider put out an album called Great Ladies of Country or something, and they have taken great country and western songs, and they have reworked them and they have reinterpreted them as their own. And so some of those songs are typically, traditionally been sung by a bloke, and they've changed the words. And Love Hurts, for example, they do a ripping version of that on that album. In your case, you're not afforded the opportunity, and I don't think you want the opportunity to reinterpret. You're actually replicating. That's the word, isn't it?
That's exactly it. And I think, when you're doing a tribute show, people don't want to pay money and come along to hear your interpretations of songs that they know and love. They want to hear what they know. So that's the job at hand. You've got to really work at trying to replicate that as best you can. And I'd like to think that we do a pretty good job of that. I think the experience that we've had has taught us that, that's all worthwhile, because the audiences do notice, and they come up and they'll say to you, sometimes, you get people up to you in tears, and they'll say, wow, you recreated that so well. It just took me back to a time and a place where that music meant so much to me.
Yeah, that was the experience that I had, yes.
We often get people coming up to us in tears, but it's got nothing to do with that.
Matt, just on that now, it's probably easier to replicate the sound of a keyboard or a guitar, but you're coming into the band. Were you selected because of your ability to sing close to Dave Gilmour's sound, or did you have to work hard to copy that?
Well, I auditioned for the band, and I was lucky enough to get the role based on my abilities. But I guess I'm lucky in that I have a natural ability to, I have that sort of lower register, and that lends itself quite well to replicating David Gilmour's voice in some respects. And fortunately, I can sort of pull off a bit of a Roger Waters as well. So that put me in good stead for this band.
Because that's the other thing, isn't it? As with the Beatles, for example, you didn't just have a particular singer in Pink Floyd. It was shared around a bit. It
was, yes. So you had, all of them except for the drummer Nick Mason were doing vocals. It's not always easy to pull off those voices. Sometimes you have to go with your own voice, because it's physically impossible to replicate it exactly. But I'd like to think I do a fairly decent job of replicating most of those vocals. So, and I think audiences, again, appreciate that because it's what they're familiar with.
I think the other thing too, with the Pink Floyd experience, if you will, if you are doing the cover band songs, do 3 minutes of Creedence and then 3 minutes of Neil Diamond, and you've got the opportunity to have a break. This kind of doesn't stop, does it? It's not something that Pink Floyd are renowned for their show rather than their sets of songs.
That's right. I mean, I remember when I first started with the band, we were doing 3-hour shows, and I look back to that now. God, how did we do it? It was a marathon. But now, you're looking at probably a little over 2 hours, 2.5 hours or something like that. It's still quite a lot of work. But I think we've built up that stamina over the years to be able to pull off a show like that. It takes work. It's like training for a marathon.
Okay, you've been training for 10 years with the group. Have you had that time where you sit around in the room and say, "Righto, boys, that's perfect. We've done it as well as we possibly can," or do you still continue to tinker for chasing that absolute perfection?
Well, I think, excuse me, that's a good question. I don't think you ever really have a perfect show. You might have a couple of shows in a tour that get close to that. But I think that's something that you always chase. And I think, we do come close at times. There's some really great nights that you come off stage and you think, wow, that felt so good tonight. And then you get, you might play the next night and you all make a bungle of it, and you think, God, what happened there?
And I guess the other thing is too, because you know all of it so intimately, the people who've turned up at the not-so-flash show probably don't even notice.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of audiences listen with their eyes. They're kind of mesmerised by the whole production, and you come off stage and you think, oh, God, we made a real mess of that song. And you'll come out and you'll talk to the audience and they'll single out that song and they'll go, wow, that was so fantastic. I loved how you did that song. And you think, wow, they didn't even notice the mistakes. But we're only noticing because, we're listening to this music constantly and, it's embedded in your brain and you know every minute detail of it.
I don't know if you've got any young people who you share a car with occasionally, but I was sharing a car with someone yesterday who's 20 and is there's someone, I can't remember her name. Is it Taylor Swift, is it? Who every time she gets in the car, that's what happens. Bang, we move on. We have Taylor Swift. Do young folk in your family get a chance to sit in the car with you and not listen to Pink Floyd?
Well, I don't have any young kids myself, actually, but I know most of the other guys do, and I think their kids are all pretty familiar with Pink Floyd by now. They're probably a bit bored of it as well, to be honest.
So if you're sitting in the car and you think I can't take another Comfortably Numb, what sort of tunes do you move to?
I've got pretty broad tastes in music, to be honest. I grew up with a lot of the progressive rock scene, and that's kind of how I sort of got into Pink Floyd. So Genesis, Yes, Rush, all of those great bands from the 70s, and that were exploring music. I love all that sort of stuff, but I also love a lot of hard rock and heavy metal, and like I was just saying before, in recent years I've really dived into the electronic scene a lot more, and that's really inspired me to compose my own material. So I've been listening to a lot of that lately. I find that really inspiring. But yeah, very broad taste. I love the Beatles as much as I do Frank Zappa or any sort of weird and wonderful stuff that's quite non-commercial.
I asked Paul the same question last year, and I think he threw it around the dressing room, but I'll ask you, Matt. If Pink Floyd never existed, but you were doing a cover show with the same group of people, who would you be doing?
Wow, that's a really tricky one. I'd love to do something like a Genesis show, particularly the Peter Gabriel era.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said Fleetwood Mac, didn't he?
Yeah, I think, his view was Fleetwood Mac at the time. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Well, one of our guitarists, Mark, he's a massive Fleetwood Mac fan as well, so I can imagine that he'd want to do something like that.
I tell you what, it'd be a hell of a trick you pulling off Stevie Nicks' voice.
I don't think I could do this.
So, as we've said before, it's an experience, it's a show. It's not here's a bunch of songs one after the other. So I saw you guys 2 years ago, came home with some great memories and a dose of COVID, because the bloke next to me sat there and coughed on me all night. The next day I had COVID. So thanks, I won't be coming back. No, I will. I'll be back. Has the show changed much? Like, do you sort of say, right, that's it, we've done 2 years of that show, let's do another show, or is it pretty much of a muchness to keep rolling through?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we do, mate. So every 2 years we change up the show. I think when you saw us, we were doing something called A Journey Through Time, and that was,
I think you're right, yep,
the greatest hits package with a few sort of real obscure deep album cuts thrown in. And I think the fans really enjoy that we do mix up the set, because it keeps it interesting, not only for us, but for the audiences as well, and that sort of inspires them to keep coming.
Yep.
At the moment, we're in the middle of what we've called the Signs of Life tour, which is a celebration of Pink Floyd's Delicate Sound of Thunder live album, and consequently the last time they came to Australia back in 1988. So I think that's really resonating with fans around the country, because a lot of people did go out and see that tour, and it's bringing back a lot of memories for them.
That album, I am almost certain, has my favourite Pink Floyd song on it, and it wasn't played in the Journey Through Time tour. I don't think your tour of that. On the Turning Away.
Yes, well, we are covering that at the moment, yes.
What a most magnificent, it's a sad song. It's just a magic song. Do you know it, Rob?
No.
Song, and it's very relevant to our times today.
I had a feeling that there was one country town, and we won't name it for reasons of being on the wireless, but there was a group of young people who were self-harming quite badly, and that became a bit of a theme for them, and they had to actually stop playing it in that particular area because people were using it to self-harm.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. That's quite sad.
Yeah, but it's just an extraordinary piece of music and some really cutting lyrics. I mean, it's really absolute peak Pink Floyd.
For sure.
Yeah. So you're coming to Geelong, but I haven't memorised all of these. You'll be pleased to know I'm reading these off a piece of paper. But you're out and about at the moment, today being Saturday the 9th. So this time next week you'll be in Mildura.
That's right.
Now you're based in Western Australia, most of you, aren't you?
No, we're in South Australia.
South Australia. Oh, okay. Where the local time at the moment is 1987. No, that's unfair. So it's not a big trip to get to Mildura. Then off to Bendigo on the 22nd of March. You're coming to God's own country not next Saturday, Saturday week, the 23rd of March. You will be here in the beautiful city by the bay.
That's right. Yeah, looking forward to getting back. It's always lovely to come there, play in Geelong. Such beautiful venues that we've performed in there.
Is that going to be at Costa Hort again? I assume it will be.
Can't quite remember.
Doesn't matter. I'll look it up in a minute. Then off to Horsham, Bundaberg, Rockhampton, Redcliffe in Brisbane, Noosa, Wangaratta, Frankston, Richmond the Corner Hotel in Richmond, Rob. How good's that?
Is that good?
That is Rock Central in Victoria.
Rock Central.
Wagga Wagga, Griffith, Belrose, Port Macquarie, Rozelle in Sydney, Preston's in Liverpool, Preston's near Liverpool in Sydney, Mackay, Townsville, Cairns, Nowra, Wollongong, Albany, Perth, everywhere.
We get around a bit. We certainly do.
And it must start to take a toll on you. Your frequent flyer points probably look good.
The frequent flyers are racking up, that's for sure.
And so you obviously travel, and in case you said you're a voiceover artist, do you travel home between shows, or do you stick around, or what do you do?
No, we fly out for the Friday and the Saturday shows, and then we fly back, carry on the week as we normally would with our day jobs and commitments, and then we fly out again for the next weekend. So, it is a lot of work flying around, and it does take its toll, but, you sort of do it because you love those couple of hours up on stage and getting to perform this music. So, I think most performers around the world do find it a little wearing when you're travelling constantly, but that's part of the price you have to pay for doing this. You can't sort of stay put in one town and play there all the time because the audiences just won't come. But so we have to go to them. But, it's a great way to see all of Australia. I've seen so much of Australia that I'd never seen before through being in this band, and that's a huge privilege.
Matt, obviously a lot of rehearsal time to prepare the show, but in between performances, how much time do you rehearse?
I tend to spend a fair bit of time during the week just going through the set, just to make sure that muscle memory is there, that you're remembering all of the lyrics and that sort of thing mainly. Making sure that my voice is in shape, which you can probably hear at the moment. I'm just on the tail end of a bit of a cold, actually, which is a singer's worst nightmare. But, I usually like to spend a fair bit of time just going over that just to keep it fresh all the time. If we have a bit of a layoff for a couple of months, then I get a bit of a break from it. But where we're playing fairly regularly, I like to keep that going.
And as a collective, you don't need to have an hour or two rehearsal for a show. You just rock up from one to the other and it all happens.
That's right, yeah. Again, if we've had a layoff for a couple of months, we might get together and just have a bash through. But, where we're playing fairly regularly, we find that we don't need to rehearse as a band as often.
And I reckon you've got the ideal job. Poor old Paul would get to the venue and spend 2 hours getting himself set up. You just walk out on stage and grab a microphone.
That's why I became a singer.
Yeah, Paul's certainly got some gear in his little corner of the stage, hasn't he?
I do actually give Paul quite a hand with setting up his rig, because I do find the keyboards quite interesting. So, that's a good little thing to give him a hand, and it keeps it interesting for me. So,
not to give away too much of a secret, do you start with Shine On You Crazy Diamond in this set?
We do on this tour, yes.
Yeah, because you did last time round, and it's great because it's a 15-minute song played in full, and Paul gets a bit of an opportunity to be out there by himself, and gradually people dribble out as the song wears on. So it's a great way to introduce a show.
It is, and when the band goes on stage, I can still stay backstage for at least another 10 minutes. And
have one more stubby before you go out. So Saturday the 23rd of March, that's 2 weeks today, folks, 8 p.m. at the Story House at the Geelong Performing Arts Centre. So that's a different venue. $79 a ticket. You are joking me. Seriously, that is cheap at half the price. $79 for just a fantastic night out. There's concessions and group pricing, and students over 18 bucks at 74. Kids under 18, $49. Here's your chance, folks. If you've got a 15-year-old and you want to introduce them to music that doesn't go doof, 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 take them along to this, because it's grouse. It really is grouse. And for $49, I mean, seriously. The venue's at 50 Little Mallet Street in Geelong. It goes for 160 minutes with a 20-minute interval. So you walk in the door at 8, you're out the door at 11. It's a Saturday night, so there's no school the next day. And if you stick around, there is a show, meet and greet after it. So you can tell Matt that you heard about it on the Two Blokes Chatting radio show.
And I did that after the Colac show, and you all, Matt, should be congratulated for your time and openness with the audience afterwards. So congratulations on you doing that as well. I think it was a privilege to meet a few of you and get to understand how you roll. So, get along, everyone. This is a superb show.
So you can either go to the Geelong Arts Centre's website, geelongartscentre.org.au, if you want to find tickets, or better still, go to echoesofpinkfloyd.com.au, because not only because you get to get tickets, you get to see what Matt looks like, and his mates. And he's a truly handsome man. No mincing of words here.
Good on you, mate. Thank you very much for your time. Best wishes. We'll see you in G-Town soon.
Thanks so much for your support, guys.
No worries at all. Matt Goodluck there. He is the lead vocalist with an outfit called Echoes of Pink Floyd, and they go okay, don't they, Rob?
They go very, very well indeed. If you're a fan of Pink Floyd, and as Matt said, if you want to just go back and close your eyes and hear what you heard as a youth, they are really, really good. It's a magnificent show. Love
Absolutely.
it.